The Hustleshare podcast is sponsored by OneCFO, the Philippines' leading fractional CFO services provider for startups, scale-ups, and SMEs. Experience the power of tech-enabled, efficient, affordable, and expert-led fractional CFO services. Let OneCFO handle your finances so you can focus on growing your business. Book your free CFO consultation today.
In my personal, engagement with a lot of universities, across Southeast Asia, I can really say which ones are good, which ones are like really lagging behind. I've seen it. I've seen the dev scores in some of our evaluation. And it's interesting. Philippines might not be the best in terms of development, but if you look at in the Philippine view, you'll see majority of them are actually from Metro Manila still.
Welcome to Hustleshare, the podcast that features the daily grinds of unique hustlers around the world to show not our differences, but that our hustles are very much alike. Now here's your host, Ronster Baetiong.
Welcome to the latest episode of the Hustleshare podcast. We finally got this guy. We've been trying to get this guy for a while. Last time we did it, I got sick. Almost got sick again today, but finally we got over the hump. And what I love about the journey of this guest of ours is that he paid his dues in the startup ecosystem for a long time before he became the CEO, the most cliched position. People want it, but when people get it, they don't know what the hell they're up to up until you get it. But before we get carried away, let's welcome to the show the CEO of Flying Tigers Express, Mr. Shad Dela Cruz. How's that?
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Ron. Really appreciate it.
Okay, so again, super duper excited to finally have this again. When I first saw Flying Tigers, I was like, what is this? Is this like a mythological startup and whatnot? And then I looked in the booth like, I know who these guys are. There's this Pogi Boy named Dave Overton. It's like, whoa, okay, Dave finally going to productize his stuff after the longest time he was working on Sim. But he's got a great team behind him. So that's what's different about the Sam. And for those of you who don't know who Dave is, Dave Overton and obviously Albert Padin, the OGs in the ecosystem, in Cebu specifically. They are the epicenter of that. I've had them on the show. I'll link them on the episode show notes. If you want to find out, I'm not here to talk about them. We're here to talk about Shad's journey real quick. I've been seeing this guy in a lot of GoAbs for a long time now. I never really got to sit down with you because GoAb is majority of the time a blur. I'm just saying stupid shit to random people majority of the time and just me being me. But I need to ask you the $1 million question. Shad, what's your hustle?
Our hustle is Flying Tigers Express. We do same day and next day delivery inter-island in the Philippines.
Why is it Flying Tigers? You could have been flying Cabao. Okay.
Okay.
No, I want to understand because I have a bias towards Tigers. I studied in UST, so when you say Tiger, like, ooh, okay, UST Tigers. But why Flying Tigers? Why did you choose that name?
No, I think it's really coming from the Asian kind of approach, right? Like, a little bit of backstory. I don't know if you know about this, but FedEx, before it became a FedEx, it was actually Flying Tigers.
No
and they merged together with Federal Express, and then they became FedEx. Yeah.
Are you breaching something illegal here because you're looking at referencing an old tool flying, or you're the new school flying?
So it's just Flying Tigers, but we put Express and we localize it, right? But yeah, the inspiration is really more towards Asian country, like Asian, market, and then basically from Asia to the world kind of approach as well.
Right. So inter-island 7641 ba? What is the fucking 7102? I'm still 7102.
Whatever the
7,640 something. I'm not sure. But why is this a problem that you guys want to zero in? Because here's the thing. It's obviously a problem because there's so much distance across each island and whatnot. But I think several companies have tried this. Nobody has succeeded in a home run fashion. Why did you want
Right.
to solve this problem?
I think, if you've lived enough in the Visayas and Mindanao, I don't know, have you lived, Joron? Like,
Bisaya
have
ako
you
dong.
stayed in?
Bisaya ako
Okay.
dudong.
So you
Waray
know this
ini.
exactly.
Waray ini. Okay,
All right.
dili la ka mo maaram nga. Waray ako. Waray
Aaron.
ako.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, yes. So
All
you
right,
know
that's all you need to
exactly
know.
how it feels. You
Yes.
know exactly how it feels when Visayas and Mindanao are mostly, the secondary option. But, at the same time, like deliveries going to Visayas and Mindanao takes so much time. Like, typically, if you're from Bacolod or if you're from Mindanao, Cagayan de Oro, like 10 days is okay. Like you're okay with a 10-day period of a delivery. But in reality, you can actually make it faster. And you've seen how things move in the whole supply chain logistics in the Philippines.
Right.
And there are people who needs it really quickly. So we want to take that market, like very niche down to that. And yeah, just provide a VIP service for most of this.
Obviously.
people.
So if it's VIP, obviously it's a premium market. But again, you're trying to bridge the gap for that 10-day into probably a next day delivery. That's an eternity, especially if it's an item that needs to be received. Now, before we get carried away and talk about flying inter-island, I need you to buckle up real quick because you're not the only one who can fly out here. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been flying for the past 6 years, not into The Hague, but it's I've been flying through time, okay? Not today.
Right.
Okay? Because we're gonna have to go all the way back. And because we're gonna have to ride the Hustleshare time machine.
So,
There you go. Oops, we ended up in The Hague. No, just kidding.
no,
No, I want to understand a couple of things. First off, again, every single startup founder is has an origin story, and I want to understand yours. And I don't know much about your origin story. I just didn't know that you grow up in Bacolod?
Yeah, I grew up in Bacolod.
Okay, so funnily enough, the episode before you is Ilonggo as well. Mary
Oh,
Martinez.
nice.
Okay, so I don't know.
Nice.
I am. This is a trend that I'm on a Western Visayas binge. Okay.
Let's go. Let's go.
There you go. But I want to understand, what was it like growing up, Chad? And did you have any exposure to hustling that you remember that influenced you early on?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Bacolod, very Ilonggo. And the environment is quite laid back. I don't know if you've been to Bacolod. I actually just came back yesterday. And
Visayas is laid back everywhere. Only Cebu is probably a little bit more intense.
For
But
sure.
everywhere else, it's laid back.
Yeah, I agree with you. And like growing up in that kind of environment, it's like you wonder, is there something more than like a laid back life? So when I was in high school, I got exposed to the technology space and trying myself on understanding computers and stuff. And I started creating my own website and things like that, and asked who else are doing this, right? Until I got to the program, and when I was in the university, exchange program going to Japan and and things like that. I was like, wow, I got exposed, and I realized there's more out there. After that exchange program, I got to the Global Startup Youth, where I also met former YC guy David Marquez. That's the first time I met
Davo.
Yavo. And it was like, oh God, there's really interesting space in the drive towards technology, startups and things like that. And I came back, got into Google Student Ambassador Program, very active in school. And I know that I have to get out of Bacolod. And, from there, after university, I basically shipped myself to Cebu. And I have no friends. I have basically, it was funny because my mom gave me a 2,000 pesos baon just to go to Cebu. It's like, oh my God, what am I? And I ended up meeting Albert in one of an event. That's it.
Wait, so why Cebu? Because majority of the time, I understand the small town narrative, and this is common. Again, my roots are from Samar, right?
Right.
I'll describe it a little bit, but my roots in Samar, or actually Region 8, I would say, the number one employer in that whole region is the government. So you're probably going to
Mm.
end up being a teacher or somewhere in one of the government agencies. That's the number one
Correct.
employer, because there's not enough businesses out there to provide opportunity. So if that is basically the thing, there majority of the time, I'm not generalizing, but I see two tropes. Number one is either you really love the life there and you stay put and just have an easy, calm life, and just
Yeah.
it's predictable and whatnot, laid back, time flows different, and you spend a lot of time with family. Or like my mom, from the get go, she understood that she won't be able to achieve social mobility or achieve her dreams if she stayed
Mm.
there. So the option, majority of the time, is to go to Manila. And that's what I want to understand. Why Cebu? Because majority of the time, everybody's like, hey, mag Manila na kita. Yeah, so they want to go
Mm.
to Manila.
Yeah.
But why
To be
Cebu? And you, how lucky were you to be able to get to meet Albert right away from the first get go?
Yeah, I would say like there was an event that I had to attend to in Cebu. It was like a conference that I was invited in, where they bring students from around the world, and then there was that event there that I was part of. I came in as a volunteer, but
Nice.
when I arrived, I was shook because you're looking at the city Cebu, who's growing, trying to figure out what it's gonna be like, and about 2013, 2014, sorry, and you can see like the city is trying to like grow, right?
Yep.
There's no tall building that back
There's no
then.
CC
The
next yet.
tallest one. Yeah, there's no a lot of things yet, and it was like kind of similar to what I want. Like I'm trying to figure out what I want. I want to grow, and at the same time, I want to be in a place where I can really be a value of, right? Like I can do I can share impact as well.
Right.
So then when I arrived in Cebu, I was like, oh, okay, this is really interesting. So I after the conference, I went back to Bacolod, told my mom, Mom, I'm gonna go back to Cebu. I don't know what's gonna be like, but can I go? They said, okay, if that's your decision, go. So I arrive in Cebu. It's like literally, I have no friends. I'm like looking. I'm
Pretty
staying.
sure
Like,
your Ilonggo and Cebuano is all mixed up too.
I know, like my accent was pretty bad in Visaya at the beginning, but yeah, it was
All you
interesting.
Manileños, by the way, just because we speak Bisaya doesn't mean that we all understand each other. Each region is highly nuanced, by the way. There's
Yeah.
some, ambot is the same everywhere, but that's about it, right? There's a lot of things that are very different in everything. And
Yeah. So like the word sabot, right? Like in Bisaya it means understand, but
same,
in
yeah.
Ilonggo it means pubic hair.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. Bro,
I did not know this.
it's funny, like that's why at the beginning I was like, oh shit, am I saying the right things here? Or not? Yeah, I know.
No way. Okay, so there again, nuances and Bismin. It's not sub-Saharan. Mindanao is not
No,
sub-Saharan,
no.
by the way. There's a lot of civilization and thriving talent that come from that region.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now you go to Cebu. You have
Mm.
no friends, but I think you already have the bug, because the fact that you already drank the startup ecosystem or the tech bug,
Yeah.
you're already there. But what did you do? Again, no friends, no network. That's all the more impressive because you had high conviction, right? I mean, though the risks are smaller because you're still very young, you probably don't have a family to feed yet. But what did you do
Yeah.
next? And how did Cebu treat you in the first few months and years?
Yeah. So when I arrived in Cebu, it was funny because I had like the startup mind is like, oh shucks, what can we do here? Like, what can we do that we can offer locally, and then something that we can offer as a service or something that we can do. So what I did was I called one of my friends from Bacolod if he's also interested to come over, and then we're gonna do something together here. I don't know what's in here, but if you're interested, just come over. And then I found out one of my classmates as well just moved in a week after he started a new job in an IT park. So perfect time because now I can crash in his place, and then I'm inviting another friend to also crash in this place. So in a sense, we got to find a place, got to stay with him, And then we started figuring out like what we want to do. Like while doing on the side, I was freelancing online, doing programming. So I was a dev as well
Okay.
in my past life. But that's when I've had an idea. We're gonna do this ad tech solution that we're gonna put inside jeepneys and then let it run around the Cebu city. And it was like a crazy initial idea. And long story short, we found an investor locally to fund the entire project and then help us make it into something. And then we got
it's an angel.
It was an angel uncle or no. It was
wow, that's rare.
Yeah, very rare, I would say. So yeah, basically he gave us funds to work on it, and then we got into Cebu IT incubator program, which is in UP Cebu. And that's where we started like developing this technology. On the side, we're like learning how to create the business and things like that. It was like aha moment as well, because I literally don't know anything about this government stuff. I was like, hey, I just want to build this product, but like the business situation was like a big question.
Yep.
So yeah, and then that's that's the time when we had a lot of hiccups in the business.
Yeah.
We needed additional funding because we're building an ad tech inside a jeepney. We got 10 jeepneys to do the trial, but the eyeball business isn't easy, man. Like you need more eyes to look at it. So we had these crazy Chinese tablets that we got from Alibaba with a camera in it and then take pictures. And during that time, bro, 3G was the fastest internet.
Oh my God.
And then 4G was still figuring out to, still starting in the Philippines. It's like, I came too early, I guess.
Right. No, but I love the audacity. Because if you don't have audacity, wanting to be a founder right away, and that's basically your MBA. I was also fresh out of college. My first startup was also my college thesis, so I know exactly what you feel. But you're right. I fucked up so many times. I want to understand what were those fuck ups, because that's also the most indelible lessons that you're gonna get. Because people always think that they have this utopian future that if I build it, everything's gonna be smooth sailing. Fuck no, 99% of the time it's gonna be fucked up. What were those hiccups that you called that are very, very emblematic of that journey?
Like the engineer in ourselves. I was like, I over-engineered the product. That means we took so much time trying to build a product when in reality there's you need to drive more of the business as well. Like, in getting more business or sales from people commitment or things like that. So during that time, it's like, there's really no process I'm following. I'm trying to figure out all on my own. And then the equity thingy as well was like a vague for me. Like I didn't understand that I have to deal with this equity thing, because the next thing is there's a foreigner coming in, wants to invest in us. I was like, okay. So you're going to come in, you're going to invest to us. Okay, we surely need money now. Can you give us the money in advance without proper document and stuff?
No.
Yeah.
Never take money without structure, because here's the thing. I also mentor a lot of startup founders. Yeah. Again, I'm the tito in the crowd. I'm the tito in the room now. 12, 13 years in the startup ecosystem. And I've made this mistake. And what hurts me the most is when other people make this mistake. So, for example, giving up a chunk of your business to someone who hasn't vested. So the first thing you got to do is you need to be able to vest. There's no free lunch. I don't care how good friends you are. Every single equity that you get, you vest. You earn it, right? Because the moment shit hits the fan and somebody's shitting on equity, that's it. And the worst I've seen, Shad, I've seen main guys, CEO, the guy that run the business with like, 20-30% of the business. So what does that mean? At zero investors on that equity split thingamajig, where at the get-go, you only have 20-30% of the business and you're the one running this, you need to be incentivized to keep doing, and dilution will happen. Imagine if you only have 20-30% of the business. Nobody's going to touch you. Because that means you're a pawn and you can easily be replaced, and that you're not incentivized to keep going long term. So when that thing happened, okay, that's the main thing. What happened there, and then what are the other rookie mistakes that you
Absolutely.
committed?
Yeah. Dude, so right after the new investor came in,
Uh-huh.
he basically helped us, right? Like to kind of like get proper like cash flow
That's
in a sense.
good.
Yeah, so he helped us. But then after about 3 or 4 months, he kind of like gone
Am I right?
crazy, I
Okay,
would say.
define crazy. How crazy is crazy?
So we're getting and closing this very big deal with a bus company, like one of the biggest bus company in the Philippines. I guess you'll know this.
Okay.
And then we're about to get those finished and, like trying to get those arrangement.
Uh-huh.
And he said, hey, we had a board meeting on a Monday and then he wants to take over the entire business, kicking us out completely.
Oh, see
That was like, oh, yeah.
what the fuck?
I know, I
Right.
know.
So
So that was like I was depressed, bro. Like
right.
I was so I didn't know what to stalemate the kami. So basically the next step was like there's nothing moving forward from this. Let's shut it down. So just no one's gonna
So
take up the board.
did not end up closing the deal, or did you get kicked out?
So literally we stopped both ends. Like basically he lost his money. We cannot do anything as well. We cannot do the same business. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I remember vividly this happened to me several times with my first startup. Because I'm grateful. Hindsight being 2020, I'm grateful I
Yeah.
made those mistakes. Because I'm a better founder now. But I don't want to go through that again because it's the shittiest feeling in the world. Because you don't know, you have no role models. You put your whole heart into this only to find out that you got fucked. Right. And that's the worst. So during that time, and here's what's pivotal. I had no choice but to keep going. Had I gotten a choice, I would have probably licked my wounds, probably worked somewhere muna.
Right.
That would probably be the more the best thing. But what I love about what you did, Shad, obviously hindsight, seeing the future now, obviously you came back. And this is what sucks when a lot of my peers also went through the same thing. The first generation of startup founders, a lot of them also got fucked or failed, whatever the story is. But only a few of us tried again.
Yeah.
Because the most qualified to actually start a new business or probably a better startup are those people that failed before. So what happened there after you failed and things were really dark? Describe to me how you felt and what was the next move you did.
Yeah. So after that one, like that's again, I was a little bit depressed right after the startup. There was planned cases, suing, and things like that.
Man.
I don't want to go through that all that shit, right? Like for me, I think okay, if there's nothing we can do about it, like then let's just pause it, put it on the shelf for now.
Yep.
So I was talking to one of my mentors there was Brian Yap, RGC.
Shout out.
Yeah, and then he was like telling me about like what we should actually do and things like that. And yeah, and then I did a pause basically. Like I just did a little bit of a pause.
Yeah,
I did a little bit of online work, and that's when Albert and I got into a plane because we were attending an event here in Manila for a day. Okay. It was related to Google developer group events. And then he was just telling me that, hey, why don't you just join us for a bit? I don't know what we can do together, but if you're interested, you can join us. And then I was thinking, I have a good solid job at the moment. Okay, let me think about it. Okay. And then at the end of the event, evening time, we went back to the airport because we're flying out. The lady on the airport put the time what time we should come back. Okay. So we went out and eat for a bit, and then when we came back, the plane already left.
Hey, at least if it's Cebu, the flight's cheap, and there's a lot more flights coming up. Imagine if you went to like a random ass place, then good luck. You're gonna have to wait a couple days.
I know. That I think that was the start of a really good friendship with Albert.
Mm.
So when he was so mad, I remember he was so mad. He was like, his face was so red because he said, "I need to get back to my wife." I was like, "Okay, bro, like chill, like we'll figure this out." And then the manager came out and said, "Sir, it's our fault because literally the lady put the time in the back, and we're right in front of her at the
Oh
time."
man.
And they said, okay, we'll pay for your next flight. The next flight is tomorrow morning, so we have
Oh
to book
shit.
it in a hotel. So literally, the first time I met Albert, he offered me an interesting job, and then
You saw
like
him how
basically
you saw how he got
he
mad,
got
right?
mine. Yeah, and then he got chill after the morning. Went home before we landed. I said, okay, bro, I'll take the job.
Wow. There you go.
So
So that's the key. If you want to get a job, be left by a plane. Yeah. Okay, but here's the thing. Before we take our first break, the job was technically not just a quick boodle job because you stayed there for almost 3 years, right? You're a
yeah,
special operations and growth in Sim. What
yeah.
did you learn from those two gritty guys, Dave and Albert? Because again, if you just listen to their story, it was just like what every single one of us went through in Manila. But they had a little more handicap because there's not much startup founders in Cebu. So they're one of a few, if not the only one for a while. But they kept persisting despite all the challenges that were thrown at them. What did you learn, and how did that transform you while you were in Sim?
I would say the hassle, bro.
Uh-huh.
Like it's really the drive and the grit all together packed, right?
Yeah.
To create something, that you can offer.
Mhm.
I think, driving the value and impact at the same time, for people to utilize technology. So I think that was it. It's crazy. And so when I joined Civ, the first role that they gave me was like, Shad, we don't know yet what we're gonna do together, but hey, why don't you help on this project called MLE Pay? It was the goal that the PayPal of the
Yeah.
Philippines. That was like what they wanted to do. I think they shared it, and they gave me that project because we're going to wrap it up and sell it off. So that was like the first project that I did.
Mhm.
So yeah, and they did a good exit from that as well.
Nice. So that was a builder, because again, for those people who don't know what Simp is, they're a dev shop. So either they build product for other people or they create their own product to sell it to other people. And now it's they create their own products and turn that into startups. But they're a technology powerhouse
Right.
of the Philippines. So that's good. Now, all right, let's take our first break, and when we come back, we will now talk about the next few stints that you did, all the way to you creating Flying Tigers Express and becoming CEO. Let's talk about that more after the break. Hey hustlers, are you a busy entrepreneur juggling a ton of tasks while trying to keep your finances in check? Thinking of raising money from investors or lenders but have no idea how to start? Well, you are not alone. Managing business finances is tough, but don't worry, I got something for you. Introducing OneCFO, the leading fractional CFO service and technology provider for SMEs, startups, and scale-ups in the Philippines. Whether you need help with financial management, fundraising strategy, or scaling up operations, their team of top-tier CFOs and their game-changing CFO tech platform have got you covered. And they're legit because I've heard about them from a lot of YC startups actually that got founded in the Philippines, because they've helped a ton of VC-backed startups, scale-ups, and some of the best SMEs in the country reach new heights. OneCFO is your strategic financial partner, providing the insights, guidance, and the tools you need to make smarter decisions and drive growth. Plus, they offer personalized support tailored to what your business needs, no matter the size. And what's the best part? It won't break the bank. OneCFO services are affordable and accessible to businesses of all sizes. So if you're ready to level up your business and finances, what are you waiting for? Schedule a free CFO consultation with OneCFO. Visit onecfoph.co today. That's onecfoph.co today to get your free CFO consultation. And we're back from the break. We are still with Shad Dela Cruz, and told us the amazing journey and the origin story that he has. Because again, if in startup life, and a lot of people listen to this podcast. Probably a good third or a good half of people that listen to Hustle Share are founders on the cusp of becoming founders. And I've met a few of you guys, or a lot of you guys. It was like, hey, thank you for um giving us the extra push to take the leap. Majority of the time, I feel bad, like, oh shit, you just fucked yourself up.
Yeah.
Welcome to the most fucked up journey, but the most fulfilling also. But this is
Yeah.
hard. Like you chose hard mode on your life to get there. Because there's other ways, there's so many other ways to be successful.
Mm.
This is extreme hard mode that you chose. So when after Sim, before we talk about your next stint in Google, I wanna learn about something. Because when you get exposed to true blue founders like Dave and Albert,
Yeah.
you don't just learn the hard skills. You learn the soft skills of how to become a founder yourself. What did you learn from them at the very first stint of your stimp life?
Yeah, I think Civ. I mean, one of the great things that you find in Civ that is, like pillar in the, I would say not just in the company, but also at the same time in the entire ecosystem, was Dave and Albert was foundational people. That means you can get a lot of wisdom and at the same time, like passion towards the things that they're doing.
Yeah.
And you talk to Dave, you can feel like he's very passionate about technology
Yep.
and building solutions for the world. Well, and also Albert is totally aligned, pushing that further by building and creating those and making that possible. So you get a very good dynamic together, and then they basically drive the entire company to align to a single goal, to a vision that they want to see, and then let's build towards that. Because like I would say, if without a really solid foundation and the vision didn't align, most of the time people just leave. Like the attrition rate, or in the company in Civ, was probably like a typical employees are 4 to 5 years.
Wow.
That's the average. And then most of the time, like majority of them will want to stay longer in the company, and just want to as long as they, of course, the pay, and the other benefits that factor in, they just want to stay. So for me, it also aligned very well. Like there's so much focus in driving that positive global impact, right? Because that's the vision, the mission of STEM, and basically aligning that to everybody in the company as well. So yeah.
Okay, so again, that basically says a lot about the culture of what you guys built. But eventually, you did leave it again for the meantime, and you went to Google. Why would you not try it? So walk me through the Google hustle. What did you learn there?
Yeah, I think Google was interesting space because I guess I didn't put here. I was running developer community in Cebu, and we're doing events. And events there. Again, the goal for me doing that in the community side was help get more people to the technology space, get them to be upskilled to technology, and then allow themselves to, like to be a part of an industry that could help them alleviate out of poverty. Yeah. One story out of that community events, I would say, was like, this kid, he's a PWD, and he keeps joining all our events since the beginning of his college journey. And, he didn't really understand or like learn, in terms of skills, it took a while for him to develop it. But by joining and getting involved in some of the workshops, events that we're doing, and he was able to get a job in one of the events that we did. Wow. So, I think the story can be shared further because, you'll see a lot of people who join our event can get jobs right there itself because like other companies participate and, get involved. And even us, like in Sim, we also got to hire several other devs out of those events as well. So, I think you get to see the people who are passionate about technology who are in Cebu back then. But, I guess in Google, that allowed me to also share that to the rest of the APAC because I was running Pakistan, I was running Indonesia, Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore, and I traveled and basically tell people, hey, it's upskill, be part of something that you can, you can use for your future.
Right.
And developer relations basically was just really engaging to a lot of these interested developers. Some of them, the main program that I ran was the GDSC. So I'm the one who opened it in the Philippines.
Wow.
And made that possible for it. And I think GDSC is everywhere in almost every campus in the Philippines as well.
There you go.
Southeast Asia, basically.
There you
So
go. And
that was my hustle there.
not just that. There's so much. Okay, I've seen the evolution of how startup founders were like here in the Philippines. At the very start, around when Startup PH was technically born, around 2012, 2013, I would say at least 70% of the first-time founders, like the Dave, the Albert, the Christian Blanqueros of the world, and whatnot. There's a lot more. A lot of them are devs, and that's a very stark difference now to what the type of founders are in Startup PH. A lot of the people that work in Startup PH, when they create a startup, they're not devs, but the real power in creating a great product lies in getting access to great talent, especially in technology. Because if you don't have the ability to build great product, how the hell are you going to be able to innovate and solve a problem using technology? Right? And that developer community that you had access to, you basically have a cheat code of who and where to get talent across the Philippines. Because majority of the time, people always say like, devs are super scarce. Yes, they are. But you're looking on the same fucking bucket. People don't know that, a random school who most Manila companies like here do not know. Like, for example, I in Chatbot BH, I got so much talent from a school named Bulsu. Like, what is Bulsu? People are like, Bulacan State University.
Right.
The devs there are solid. In Northern Mindanao, there's so many. They're really good. But a lot of the startups are looking after Ateneo, UST, man. So it's such a small pool, but the talent and even the grit, I would even argue that the Vismin and provincial devs are much more are bigger innovators because they don't have access to the spoon feeding that the local devs here from the top universities are. By default, they're able to then solve problems for minimal resources. Am I right or am I wrong?
I don't want to say it, but I would say there are some, right? There are that can surely be debatable. And in my personal engagement with a lot of universities, I mean across Southeast Asia, I can really say which ones are good, which ones are like really lagging behind. I've seen it. I've seen the dev scores in some of our evaluation. And it's interesting. Philippines might not be the best in terms of development, but if you look at it in the Philippine view, you'll see majority of them are actually from Metro Manila still.
Okay.
So,
but for those people who are good, or for those schools who are good dev schools, what would you say makes them good? Because again, I've seen really great dev talent in Vismin.
Outside. Right, for sure.
Or maybe I'm looking at it from a point of view of on an individualistic, and all what I'm getting access to are the best of the best of what that region or what that place can give. But if you average it out over the whole populace, then shit, okay, it's one of one or one of 100 per se. But what makes a great dev school per se, where you can consistently churn out really great graduates?
Yeah, I think for me, it's really like the stack, right? Like the tech stack that they can engage in. How fast can they learn a technology stack? In for example, in Civ, we have a balance now of devs from Visayas and Mindanao, and versus the ones in Luzon or Metro Manila. But still, right now, since Civ is Cebu based, majority of our devs are still in Visayas and Mindanao. That could be a bias, right? But if you look at the whole, the whole developer pool now, like majority of hiring still falls here in Metro Manila. And if you probably look at all the schools, you'll see probably UST, Ateneo, or probably some of the LaSalle as well to be in top still. But there's interesting now that I see more actively. NU, National University,
Wow.
they have a lot of branches nationwide,
Yep.
and if you look at their prospectus or like their curriculum, very direct to hands-on experience or
Wow.
development. So I would say that is an interesting perspective versus to the rest of the players as well. So yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So again, I'm wrong. My bad. Very, very
Yeah.
biased thing. So yeah, I just have this based on experience, like wow. Because again, I'm talking from an operator standpoint.
Correct.
Okay. So for example, shit, I want that dev from UST, right? Your chance to get a dev from UST, to get them affordable if you're a startup, because you cannot pay Accenture rates to get a
Yeah.
dev from
So,
UST. You're
yeah.
competing from the get go. Their best of the best is gonna be, propped up by the best of the best and the big mamas who's willing to pay someone probably fresh grad 60, 70, 80K right away. How the hell are you gonna be able to compete with that if you're a startup? So your best bet is to go somewhere and be contrarian. And I was able to build great companies built on contrarian devs. Eventually, they became mamas too. But the starting point of what type of your initial devs will be needs to be affordable. And when you are able to get them from, say, not LaSalle, UST, Ateneo, or whatever, or an
Better.
NU, then you have a better chance to actually build a solid dev team to build product. Because the shelf life of those devs, if they're really good, max they'll be with you is probably 2 years. Because somebody's gonna poach them. And you shouldn't let them stay with you because you're an asshole if you just let them and you cannot match that offer. You have to accept the fact that you're gonna be a training ground startup. So I call it a straight training ground startup. So in my second company, Chatbot PH, I lost so many good devs, not because they didn't want to stay with me, because I couldn't match the offer of whatever company that wanted the startup. So fine by me. I rooted for them. So if you're a startup and you want to be able to create a great talent pool, you should always be having a great internship program. That's your best chance. Hire internally, nurture them, probably get them 1 to 2 years as juniors, get them there. But in order to have a great internship program, you need to have solid senior devs or at least mid devs that can train them to become great devs. Yon, is that accurate na?
That's good. That's the right thing to do.
There you go. All right, yeah. Just coming from pain, because if you're a local startup and you cannot compete with Accenture, that's your only way in to create great product. Okay, so after Google Dev that you did Pactera, I'm gonna skip through that a little bit. Just the next one is very interesting. Spenmo with another Padin. There you go. This time with George, you had also on the show. What was that Spenmo experience like? And again, how did that come about?
Well, there's good and bad, and ugly at the same time, right?
Okay.
Like the good, I think the whole experience, seeing how things getting built, right, and then how we became like one of the fast, I would say, high growth startup in not in the country, but basically Southeast Asia. It was crazy. I would say I was doing partnerships, driving towards new partners who wants to help us grow in other channels as well.
Yep.
But other than that, it's like really, heck, how can we get the noise out there that hey, we're here, we're gonna help businesses with those cards. I don't know if you've had one. And basically you swipe it and like all of your employees have a central wallet, and then it can be shared. You can track expenses way better. And that was really good. I think the idea and the product itself is solid. Like it was very good. Internally it became kind of crazy because you've seen the news, like the CEO kind of like after setting up the entire C-level, he kind of like stopped doing kind of like exited a bit, and then they had a riff internally. The CRO left, the the CPO, the product guy, also had that embezzlement thingy. But it was crazy, bro. Like internally, it was like like a crazy show. Politics internally is also crazy. There's so much drama here and there, and to sum it up, the ugly came out. Like George got into middle of it. It was just too bad. So George and the team basically, or like the Philippine team, kind of like decided to like just shut down, and I didn't even know. Like I was like, oh shucks, this is happening.
Wow.
Okay, we don't have a job now, so it was crazy.
Yeah.
But lawsuits after lawsuit, I think it was. I think George needed that break as well because it was crazy.
Yeah.
But all in all, I meeting crazy smart people. You meet a lot of like the drive and how the startup sales looks like. In Spenmo, we got to close thousands of businesses in the Philippines alone. And we're one of the craziest market for Spenmo as well, because like we're crazy fast in getting those deals. Faster than Singapore, Indonesia, and things. So I would say it was crazy.
Now, having gone through that, what did that teach you? Because again, startups are very chaotic.
Yeah.
But when it's technically imploding, right? That's another level of chaos that you have to go through.
Yeah.
But through every adversity, you learn something. What did you learn about yourself going through that?
That was hard, bro. Like, it was crazy shit. But I would say like the team. Like you have to have a solid team in order to to create a solid startup. It could be the people that, are really hardcore sales or, who don't give a shit about like, other companies rejecting them, but rather like just the hustle of reaching at the numbers. We're looking at the numbers in a totally different level. On a week basis, it was like crazy work. But, like on top of that, we had fun. Like, we were the drive and the greed and the passion was there. Like we were exactly. I would say, having a solid team changes everything.
No, and that's your only chance for success. Because I also look at startups again, coming back to mentorship runster that comes in. The first look test, actually not even the litmus test, look test, right? First startup founder. That's why second time startup founders and people with experience have a better chance for success if you already went to war before. Like right now, if I look at Shad's resume, oh shit, this guy's been through it all now, technically. But if I looked at this, say probably while you were in Sim, it wouldn't like, oh shit, this guy is still raw, right? Because that's your only chance to show that you've actually paid your dues, that you have been through the startup hustle. Whether you're an employee, key team member, or a CEO, doesn't really matter, right? But if you've been through the grind, then you know what it takes. Now, that's completely opposite of what I completely see sometimes, especially in investment startups. I look at the litmus test at who the teams are. For example, I enter a random startup that I've never met. I look at what's your team? We're 3 devs. What have you worked on together? We were freelancers. Nothing wrong about freelancing. Go ahead. That's great. But have you created your own product before? No. They're all 3 devs. How are you going to do customer validation? Who's willing to go out and talk to users? Wale. Oh, patay na. What are we going to talk about here? Right? Because that's like the first few things. And you said it. It has to be a great team of great superstars who are superheroes in their own regard. Right? It can't just be, you can't have redundancy. And somebody's got to be able to willing to hustle, or everybody needs to do that. It's not about creating a product lang. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Now, after Spenmo, you went back home to Sim.
Yeah.
What was what was Shad 2.0 now in Sim, and how is that different?
I'll probably do a little bit of backstory. So I think it was like a month before I got an invite, because when the Google job was actually an invite to apply. Like, because people, the Google people have seen how I work,
Okay.
and they had an open role, and then they invited me in.
Oh,
So I went through all the, crazy. But the week before that, I told Albert, Google, I'm applying for Google. Is it okay? Is it okay I leave Sim? Because back then, bro, like I told you about the, attrition rate there. So it's different. The drive is quite crazy.
Yeah.
And I told Albert, and Albert told me, it's like, are you crazy? Go get that experience, and once you're okay, just come back. Like, that was what he said. And I said, okay, all right, let me try it. So that's why I went to Google right after Google, did a little bit of consulting, and then Spenmo, and then got back to Sim.
Yeah.
So,
Now you're full circle. Went to war and waited back like a war veteran.
I know.
Okay. What
That
was
was
war
good.
veteran Shad like when he went
Yeah.
back to Sim?
Totally different, right? Like, I guess, like, now wearing the kind of like, hey, what can we do? What should we do? And now we can, with the experience that we have, let's try to build products that people actually care about or value, willing to pay for, right? Like, something that people are already willing to use it as well. So the when I came back, the product that I was handling is called Rent Circle. It's still there, rentcircle.ph. Basically, it's a property management app. We use it mostly for people to utilize different, and then we had an idea to kind of expand it, but we realized landlords market is crazy in the Philippines because they don't really want to pay, bro. Like, they don't really want to pay additional things as well. So I said, okay, if they're not the ones paying, then who's gonna pay? Like, of course, the tenants, right? The tenants are paying. The tenants also don't want to pay additional
Why would I pay extra rent?
for something like that. They can just give, right?
Right.
So it was crazy because the predecessor of Rent Circle was Space, which was like a payment for rental payments. And the story behind it was like we wanted to be seamless, that landlords and their tenants makes it a lot easier. We even got to YC's interview.
Wow.
But sadly, we didn't got. I think I mentioned Davo was one of the guys. YC folks in the Philippines was vouching and helping us as well. But long story short, we didn't got in because we missed a very weird reason. We didn't have a technical founder, which is like, wait a minute, there's no way that was the reason. Because like we're very technical people.
Dude, you guys are a dip shop. What are you talking about?
I know. That was crazy, but it was it was like we let go of it and then we move on anyway. And Red Circle has like attraction, but there's no money there. And I was talking to one designer, but the story was like on the side I run a gadget store, Ron, like it's called gadgetsbro.ph. And I sell Apple products, things like that. And one of my biggest problem all the time, where most of my clients from are Visayas and Mindanao, and I had to ship it. And then one weird week, I saw that inside SIF there's a small project nobody's even talking about called Flying Tigers. I was like, what? We have a courier product inside SIF? And I said. Then one of the product guy, I messaged him like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like, can I try it? Like, yeah, I said, okay, I have one shipment right now, a MacBook Pro going to Cebu. Can I use you guys? So I tried it. And then, like my mindset was like, okay, it might take a while before they, And then right after a book, within the day, the guy picked it up in my place. I was like, oh, that was fast. And then they pick up, and then basically the next day, the guy, my client got the MacBook. And I said, oh shucks, I wanna see what else we can do with this. Because dude, if you've seen the website or like the platform of first version Flying Tiger, it was a crazy black, booking form with a very ugly site.
Hey, it worked,
yeah. I want to be part of this. Like, I want to help. I want to see how this can be very transforming for a lot of businesses in Visayas. Because that saved me so much time. Like, I sent LBC one time, bro, to Leyte. Guess how long did it take?
14
days, bro. 14 days.
Was it Delivered by walking or a biker?
LP. Bro, I know. Bro, if you own, bro, like I am not even paid yet until the device is there.
Oh my god. That's a
So
risk you take.
you're like, right? So much risk, 14 days. And then the MacBook, right? Like a brand new MacBook M2, right? Delivered there. You're freaking out. Deep inside, how am I gonna get paid?
Right.
So, but they arrive there 14 days, but that's just too much of worrying because you're dealing with other things. So, anyway, long story short, I got into the project and then I talked to Dave. Dave, is this something that we can work on together? Can I be part of this project, or like can I take over? Like in a sense, like can I be part of this? And it kind of like said like, hey, I think we should run this thing. Like we should be part of this. So Dave and I talk, and then I told him I'm coming into Cebu next week. Let's meet the team, the founders. That's when we said like, hey, we want to come in. Like we want to come into the project. We want to take a stake, and we want to help you guys grow. And that's about like around this week today,
Last year.
a year ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right, now let's take our last break. And when we come back, we will now continue the story of how they just decided to pick on a random startup idea that they have within Sim to something that got invested on by Idea Space and obviously are now picking up steam. But let's talk about that more after the break.
Hey hustlers, before we resume the episode, let me tell you a very quick secret. Do you guys ever wonder how we're able to consistently release episode after episode here in Hustleshare without missing a date over the past 3 years? Well, it's not just pure hustle, because I'm also running my podcast along with me running my startup full time. Now, for some of you who have listened to this podcast, you guys very well know that I created a startup that is designed to help the best podcasters in Southeast Asia to realize their full potential, which is called Podcast Network Asia. And over the past couple of years, we've achieved quite a lot in P&A, helping hundreds of podcasters create world-class episodes consistently. However, what we realize is that we are not really solving the real problem of all podcasters in the world if we're not going to productize the thing that we're very good at, which is helping podcasters solve the two main pain points of a podcaster, which is number one, nobody really likes to edit their own show. Especially if you're listening to your own voice. Just like me, I cringe a lot. Having to listen to my voice for 3 to 4 hours just to release a 1-hour episode. It's no fun. And then the other thing is that most podcasters, just like me, are absolutely clueless on how to properly grow their show, which is something that we have perfected in Podcast Network Asia. So we've decided to put this all in one product that helps any podcaster in the world create world-class shows that people will love and will continuously grow. And that's why we created Pod Machine. Pod Machine is the most affordable podcast subscription service that helps you with your podcasting needs. We've got everything from audio production, crafting designs, and marketing and growth support. So as a podcaster, you can now just focus on the thing that matters the most, creating great content for your listeners. So, if you are an existing podcaster or someone that actually wants to create their podcast now, no need to worry. You got a founder's discount by listening here on Hustleshare. So sign up now at podmachine.com. And aside from the free trial that you're going to get as a new user, I'm throwing in another one free edit as soon as you sign up for just as low as $49.99 USD a month to start creating a consistent and world-class podcast. Again, that's podmachine.com and use the code Hustleshare to get your founder discount. So if you have friends that are podcasters and if you want to have a podcast just like this, y'all know what to do. So just go and talk to you guys in Pod Machine.
And we're back from the break. We are still with Shad Dela Cruz, then told us the amazing origin story of how they were able to build Flying Tigers. Technically, it's been there in the stack, but who built it internally and what was it initially for?
Yeah, I think it was so basically it was an initial discussion with John Gotyong, like one of the founders of Flying Tigers, and Jover, the previous CEO. It was like their idea. They want to work on it, and they were doing it on their own initially,
Okay.
and then they want Symph to help them build the app, right? Like the booking side. So Dave, of course, said like he believe in every startup. He wants to provide support to people who are passionate about starting something.
Yeah.
He asked one of the project manager to like help John and Jover to create that booking site. Very, very simple because they had their original design.
Yeah.
They wanted it on their own design. So yeah, short story, they use that. They start receiving bookings out of that platform. Very little you can see revenue. I would say the early days was like probably less than 30 bookings per month.
Wow.
So it was like when I came in, it was like probably about 50 bookings or less even per month. And then and then I said like let's grow this, like let's make this happen. And when we came in April, like fully, I already assembled a team internally at Sniff and created the designer, the devs who might be working with me. After we got the confirmation of the stake, I was game on. Like that's it.
Nice.
That means that I wear the product hat. This is what we're gonna build. We're gonna build 3 platforms in 3 months.
Ooh.
It's gonna be a sprint. So we have to build it because we're gonna launch by August. That was a goal. That was a goal. It was crazy. Like, of course, in the middle, there was so much, changes as well. But around end of July, we're testing, final testing. We said, hey, we're going to do it. We're going to launch it on August 6th.
Wow.
So that we had a date. August 6th, opening month. It was like crazy, right?
How crazy was crazy?
Growth was crazy. I would say, it's 10x. Way, about 20, 30x of what we had in April. And then about August until December, it was just going up, right? All the booking.
What did you do different though? Because this is a classic example. So this is very inspiring because again, Bismin product built and Bismin focused actually, technically. It's the inter-island thing. And it's for people to say that, hey, there's no problems. Yeah, this is a very valid problem. And it's not the typical Bismin narrative that it should be masa. This is Vismin Premium, right? How did you guys build the product and how were you able to scale that quickly?
So, the stack, right? Like, I mean, being in a dev shop company, right? You already have something, there. That means it's like organizing it. We have really great designers as well who drive to create those, UIs and the product roadmap that I work on. And technically, the entire 3 months was focused on what the back end, the front end, and the apps as well. We utilize an app called Flutterflow. I think I'm one of the advocates of this one platform to build really fast apps as well.
Yep.
And I think Cursor as well, where you can AI shish on everything now, right? Like now, like AI can build stuff. Like vibe coding is the future, I guess. Like,
correct.
Ron, if you want to build more startups, just vibe code it. And I think the goal for us was like really clear. Like we want to launch it, but of course the business was also running on the side. We are also firefighting. While the second layer is also focused on the new product that we're building.
Right.
So it has been a mindset like, hey, if there are, it's a firefighters and then the new development innovations that we're going to be working on.
Right.
But so utilizing minimized tech stack to build a solid MVP that matches whatever the origin, the version 1, to make it way, way better on the version 2. So
No, it's not just product. So obviously the core of it all, right? Having great product allows you to scale. But what else did you guys do? Because a lot of people will do this. Here's a typical Filipino launch startup package. You'll hype it up. Blah, blah, blah. It's launching. Blah, blah, blah. It launches. They do a PR. They do some fucking crazy ass shit, right? And then it gets a bit of traction and then it flops. And they don't know what the fuck happened after. But you guys did continue that growth month on month on month. what happened in between, because that's where a lot of startups fail. That they launch and you look at the MOM, the month on month growth, womp womp, wala na. They couldn't replicate it. It was just all it was a one and done. And the ones that make it through are the ones who are able to replicate that growth eventually. Because that's normal. It will flop. There will be a initial spike. It will die down a little bit, and then your real users will pick up. It's rare that when you spike, you just continue on from that spike. And it looks like that's what you guys were able to do. How were you able to sustain that?
I think core of us as well is like our, solid network, right? I think the strategy kind of mix, right? We have a C2C, but we want to really focus on the B2B end as well. The C2C are mostly, since it's a premium service, we kind of like drive it because, I would say on the marketing side, like it's fast, right? We're selling the speed and the convenience there,
right?
And that we're gonna pick it up from your doorstep, right? The B2B is like, hey, we're gonna sell you a premium service that, hey, instead of your branches in Visayas and Mindanao receives it like 5 days, typically, we're gonna get it there tomorrow, right? So a lot of the B2B as well started to grow. That's where a lot of our focus has been. So we set up our sales team, and then at the same time we were also nurturing our C2C. We're on the marketing side, but a lot of that is movement on our B2B end, like B2B, B2C approach as well. So really great partnership with some of our clients now led to that growth as well. And it's never perfect, right? Like, of course, never perfect. We're always gonna have a little bit of those mistakes in here and there, but for us, it's like how fast can we get to our customer solving their problem? Because if we can solve their problem, they're gonna just give us more of the more of problems plus business. So
Absolutely. No, I want to understand now the fulfillment side of this, because this is not an easy game. It's not a cheap game to do. I was even like, man, this would have cost so much capex to create a fleet that can get that thing done super fast. What was the cheat code here? Because again, a lot of people wanted, hey, same day delivery or next day delivery. It's going to be part of your doorstep. But how were you able to allow yourselves to actually deliver on that premise or that promise to deliver in such a quick date? Because again, the tech is just the customer's front. The real hustle is getting item A to point B within a 24-hour span. How are you able to make sure that worked?
Yeah. So of course the operations, right? The operations processes has to be really solid as well. For us, it's like our hub in Manila. I would say about 70% of our business are coming from Manila, and then the rest 30% is Vismin back to Manila. And if you look at it, it's like you see a lot of that activity. That we need a solid Manila hub, right? And the movement as well is like we utilize as many air transport partners, not just like the airlines, but as well as like the cargo providers to help us move some of those shipments almost as quickly as possible. So rather than spending it on, in a sense, like it's like your luggage, right? But the other thing is that they have extra space there. We want to buy it, and
no, totally
that's
agree. So now you don't have to build your own or buy your own fucking plane and be a FedEx all of a sudden. Those last mile extra thing that, hey, you know what? I'll pay extra amount of money. They make money. You allowed to deliver, but who gets it from the other side though? Because for example, I book, say I buy a Starlink from Manila, and I need it sent to Bukidnon tomorrow.
Yeah.
Walk me through the process or whatever you can share. Don't give the whole. Walk me through the customer journey of how it's gonna be. How is the item gonna be received from the seller all the way to me in Bukidnon in Malaybalay, for example?
Yeah, they will very straight as well. Like that means you've booked a Lala move, right? Like for sure. And when you book on Flying Tigers, it's like you book it and you have a destination in Bukidnon. The middle is like us, like we're just gonna figure it out. So we utilize all air transport function. We have consolidators and
Charter jet
agents.
going to The Hague. Do you also do that? No, okay.
That's not our business.
Okay, sorry. It's just a very nice delivery. It was direct. Okay,
That
there
was
you go.
good. That was very good.
I
But
thought it was you guys, eh? All right, there you go.
next day delivery, Kawaw. Ay, nako.
I'm gonna get cancelled by the whole the Bisducks. Joke lang, joke lang. Okay.
Joke lang.
Mm.
So basically, in the middle, we have the like consolidators and agents who facilitate that. So it's basically partner driven as well, because some of this area run is not even, we don't really hire them. Like they're partners in our deals, right? They have their own local. I know we partner with them. We basically provide them the technology. Here's what you can do about it, and then we'll scale it.
It's basically piecing together all these other things to make sure that the customer experience, where I need internet in fucking Malay-Balay in the middle of nowhere, I'm able to get my Starlink.
Yeah.
I
You
love
can
it.
receive your parcels. Yeah.
There you go. Now, you've seen growth before in Spenmo.
Yeah.
How is it? And you said that the growth kept on growing and growing and growing. Two things I want to know. What did you think did you do right? Because it's, again, okay, one great customer experience, but it kept growing. What led this? How did you sustain? And when you saw the growth, obviously you tripled down and doubled down, whatever you guys did. How were you able to sustain that? And second, how did that lead to you getting funding?
I would say, I think the sustained growth has been because of the relationship that we built, right? And delivering to the promise as well. It was very important for us to really, like show the people. That's why when we tell you, if you want us to prove it, like just try it, like book it today, and we'll get your package to where it has to be tomorrow. And Visayas and Mindanao is, again, it's a little bit different customer compared to the Manila folks.
Correct.
Because they need to be informed. Like that means they should be able to see it, like leave like the typical experience
My
of
Starlink dish, literally getting there.
I have to give it to you. Like I have to deliver it as if like I trust you. So the customer trust has to be very high, and that's where we started putting it up as well. Like there are customer stories that posted on our Facebook page as well. That's where it kind of like help us grow as well. Like it's really from our customers talking to other people about us. That hey, this is the like funny, like one of the famous store, even informed their customer that hey, we don't do next day delivery. Go to Flying Tigers.
Wow.
It's they themselves are promoting us.
Wow.
And when we check the booking, it's coming from their store. That the pickup has to be in a drop off
That's
center
how
of that.
you made your name out there. That's great.
I know. I was like, oh, shucks. Okay, that's interesting that they're helping us now. But again, it's really understanding like the pain, right? There are a lot of people who really need this, like the things that they have delivered the next day. I'll give you another story. One person needed that medical, medical,
Cancer meds, for example, those are
Right.
very, very, very,
and they need to ship it to Cebu for a surgery the next day.
shit.
And of course, it's only available in Manila. And, they're trying to figure out how to get it. So they called us and said, like, hey, we really need this, as soon as possible. Sana it will arrive on the tomorrow for the surgery. I tell them, like, hey, if you're going to pay at this amount, like just an extra amount, we can make this today. And basically, we delivered it at about 10 p.m. the night before the surgery. And it was crazy.
Wow.
And the surgery went well. So,
Okay, stupid question. Because now I'm sold, dude. I'm super sold. Okay. What type of items do you not allow?
There's a
Firearms,
lot. Yeah.
live wildlife. What are the things that are
It,
on the green zone, or what are the things that are in the red zone? Because I already people, maybe I can get something here real quick. How do you
yeah.
make sure that you don't get part of something illegal?
Yeah, I think very standard. The typical ones are explosives, so we cannot do
Okay.
explosives.
Okay.
Hazardous items, right? Like what you said. Like, and then there are a lot of things. If you go just Google dangerous goods, there's several of them, including lithium battery. The tricky part is there are several companies, like power banks. We can never ship power banks down below because no one can see it. And we've seen phones just
Boom.
exploding like
Right.
suddenly on the planes as well. But of course, as long as they're secured, not turned on, and then there's enough that can protect. I mean, in a sense that won't explode, then they might allow it as well. But getting to that, sending prohibited items, sometimes very very tricky when it comes to air cargo, for example.
What
So the
cash?
alternative,
How about cash? Lumps
yeah,
of
we
cash.
cannot.
Oh.
No, we cannot do that.
Dude, I'm
No,
thinking
no.
wild down
Yeah.
here. I'm talking like elections
Yeah.
are coming. People need a lot of cash. Right?
I would say we've been approached. So
Oh wow.
yeah,
Oh shit. Okay.
it's we have a line as well that we don't want to cross, and we know that once our name gets dirty, it's gonna be really hard to recover.
They even have a
So-
term for that. I just learned about this a couple of weeks ago. It's called paldo. Paldo apparently is a lot of cash. Like a
Right.
big
Cash.
stash of cash. It's paldo. Oh, fuck.
Paldo.
Okay, there you go. Paldo is very much relevant in these days where elections are coming, bro. There you go.
Yeah, but
Wow.
yeah, I think it's crazy to run Flying Tigers. To be honest, I would say the pain is always gonna be in the operations, people specifically, because I would say we've encountered our own our own people as well, who somehow have done something quite illegal. Things like that. We can never avoid it. But it's a trial and error. That means we've been trying to figure out like what's the best, what's the right people to work with, and align them to the vision that we wanna do as well.
Okay, two more things I need to know before I let you go. So, how did that lead to you guys getting funding? Because again,
Right.
the coming out party of me finding out about you guys was through Idea Space in the last demo day, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
So, how did you guys get the funding? Because again, obviously, just like every single synth project, it was bootstrap or it was a client funding this, but you guys eventually did get funding. How were you able to get that?
Yeah, I think Idea Space, there was they had an online form, right? Yeah, after August launch, we had a little bit of that PR as well. Several people reach out to us as well, including accelerator incubators as well. So Idea Space posted that they had something going on, like they're transitioning to like a venture capital approach as well. So we signed up. So we really just sign up. We got through the first several interviews, and then finally, I think they accepted us as well as one of the 5 startups that they're gonna invest in. So yeah, I think on the end, Dave, since Dave ran as a CTO, he was really driving. Like he knows a lot about the tech ecosystem, way better than the other
I
founders.
saw him pitch. Yeah, I was like, whoa, okay, Dave's pitching. Okay.
Yeah. So, and when Dave's on stage, it's like, again, like it's interesting to see him deliver something, literally deliver, the pitch as well. So yeah, it was good. It was good. Yeah.
Okay. Now, how all of these things are doing great. So I see a direct path. But how did that lead you to take the helm from product development lead to becoming CEO?
I think it was internal, structure in a sense like that can help the business as well. Because a little bit of the side, Dave as a CTO, he runs SIF like full time, right?
He's CTO
And
everywhere. There you
yeah,
go.
and then you see the other two guys, John. He runs his own brokerage, and then you see Jover running his own construction business.
Right.
So literally, the founders are also not like full time into this, and it became to the point where I was already running it since last year. In a sense, like I was helping on making sure all the things are moving and things like that.
Yeah.
And December came, and it was the discussion of the board that, like among all of us, who is the person who's giving more time than everybody else? And it came to me that I was running the products, I was leading operations, and then I was driving both engagement. I was basically the guy behind the scene telling them, hey, this is what we're going to be doing.
Right.
And this is how we're seeing from this point until December and things like that. And it was like I was in the making, right? It was like I was orchestrating the work that needed to be achieved. And for the founding team, basically it was, just, when the decision came out and said like, yeah, I'll be given the CEO role, I have to accept it because it has to be accepted. So,
No, so that's
it was
great.
exactly.
And congratulations, by the way. Okay, so
Thank you.
I want to now know, this is full circle, right? I think all of the steps prior to this, prior to you even leaving Bacolod to be in a startup, you tried once as a founder, you got fucked. Now this is technically that full circle moment. But what's different now as a founder and CEO, or a co-founder and CEO of what you are doing in 2025? How is it different than your first try?
I think it's crazy, right? Like, I mean, the first try is like, I was trying to figure out on everything on my own.
Yeah.
Versus to this one, now I have this solid team behind me. I have mentors, advisors that, like helps guiding, like the decisions that I make, and, allows me to like leverage all of that together before making the decision. It's super solid. I would say totally different. You get access to Dave Overton 24/7, just message you. You get access to other veteran business people who run their own businesses as well. And then basically the idea space, very helpful. You get access to Migo and the team there. I guess now, the team in the idea space also changing, but I would say the access to the startup world has been easier. Like, I talked to Goraki guy, one of our solid customer as well.
Wow. Okay, so that's how people get really hard around the Philippines. It's Keanu and Waki pala. Okay. Okay. There you go. Next day erection. Sponsored by Flying Tigers Express.
But it's really good, really solid that, we got to the startup ecosystem very on, because again, we are leveraging the network. We're helping one another grow. And then making that possible as well. Like, one of our biggest client as well is a coffee business from Visayas, shipping to Manila. I don't know if you know Good Cup Coffee, so they're one of our solid as well. And I think it's crazy to just.
If I order a caramel macchiato, same day it will still be you will deliver it to me. Okay.
More toward the beans.
Man, sayang. I wanted Cebu coffee man or a Bose coffee somewhere. There.
Oh yeah, diba? But so a totally different experience now, because I think the access is way better.
Yeah.
And the learning, the knowledge, bro, way back. No, who are you gonna ask in 2013?
That's why everybody got fucked up. Now there's titos like us who can. I'm not gonna tell you what to do. I told you what we fucked up on, so you don't do it as well.
Yeah, diba? So I think it's really good. But just long story short, there is like taking this role now allows me to really be strategic and really getting to focus on the strategy that we're gonna be working on. That means either if we're gonna focus on the business. We're going to focus on partners, and basically we want to drive our continuous growth, utilizing technology further. I think those are the key pillars that will allow, this time for us to continue the growth.
Okay, sounds good. Now, I last couple of questions. How did your leadership style evolve? Now, again, coming through this, having leadership, how to become the back end guy, spend more early days, Flying Tigers, all the way to now becoming CEO.
I think it both like way different. I think I'm a people person, bro. Like, very, I would rather understand how you think and how you respond, and basically that's how also I will respond to you. And leadership sense, like, for me, if there's a way that we can fix it together, I would rather go with that, like, rather than going over another hiring process and, like, dealing with another list of people. I would rather work with you and help you to become, like, the best version of yourself. So in terms of managing people, I think it's really good. Selecting a good, solid people to improve themselves and then develop them. But at the same time, I think it's just setting that tone to align with everybody, the vision and the goals of the company as well.
Okay.
So
Sounds good. Now, this is very personal to me. Again, I root my bias. People don't probably just don't understand it. My bias is for local startup founders to thrive. Because if you look, yes, there's a lot of startups out there. But if you look at who actually gets the checks, who are able to scale it to a certain point, they come from tropes that are technically coming from privilege. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. As it should, because they have access to funding, the mindset is different, they know how to execute. My bias is towards local startup founders who can scale startups or solve problems nationwide at least, or go regionally. But Shad, what's your advice for non-Manila founders or local founders to be able to chase their dreams? Because what I love about your story is that you tried once, you had to basically go through the rounds muna, get experience, and try again, which is the most important thing. But again, you stuck to your roots, right? You didn't just stay in Google and be a lifer. You didn't just stay in Sim to be a lifer, in Spenmo to be a lifer. It came full circle. But what would be your advice to other local Pinoy homegrown founders that want to follow your footsteps?
Yeah, I think don't stop hustling, right? Like, I think for me, it's crazy to for example, for Flying Tigers, it's like we're trying to solve a business problem, right? Like, and then when there's enough pain, that people were willing to pay for a service to do something, right? That can solve that pain. And it has to be there. Like, it has to be already an existing pain and validate it. And then it has to make sense, right? Because if it doesn't make sense, then there's no point for people to, to get your service, because, there's already existing, there's something better out there than you, or things like that. So it has to be validated, right? Don't strive for like something like really crazy out of this world technology solutions that doesn't even make sense yet for the Philippine market, right? So, examples like, we're going to build a robotic solution that will pick up stuff like that. At this point, I would say it does not make sense because, it's not there yet. So, I think it has to be grassroots, something like connected a little bit more to the reality of what's going on in the space in the country, and then focus on the pain and find that little things that probably people experiences that will probably solve better. So yeah,
that is amazing. Thank you very much, Shad, for such an amazing episode. But before I let you go, invite people over if they want to book. If they want to work with you, they are a random object wanted to be picked up. Where do they go and how do they do that?
Absolutely. So if you're interested to get your parcels delivered same day and next day inter-island in the Philippines, go check out flyingtigersexpress.com or flyingtigers.express. And then you can search us as well on iOS and Android. Just search Flying Tigers Express. Again, we have access to more than 20 cities nationwide, key cities. Majority were in Visayas and Mindanao. But of course, if we're not there yet, go message us. We might open it soon there as well.
There you go.
Thank
if
you.
you're able to do the Hague, they can also do that. Oh,
Yeah.
just kidding. All right,
No,
I'll let you go.
let you
Paulo.
go.
Huh?
Yeah, the one of the custom service that we do, we just delivered a Tesla from Manila to Cebu. So
Oh
I'm telling
my
you, we can do custom service.
God.
VIP. VIP.
That is amazing. I hope it did not come with a MAGA hat. Okay, thank you. Well, oh man. Okay, but before I let you go, follow us on whatever podcast app you're listening to, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if we did say some jargon, just like or the links that we talked about, like the backstory of Dave and all these other guys of George, which we've had here on the show a couple of years ago. You can check them out on hustleshare.com. And if you also want to support Hustleshare as well in getting the content out there, like what we do, we cannot do this without our sponsors. So again, big shout out to them. If you want to be one of our premium sponsors, please do check out premium.hustleshare.com. Again, Shad, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.